I've noticed that a number of areas on our hill have been taken over by this green moss, which in my heart is not negative. It's amazingly green all year long. Our neighbors Ken and Luma recently mentioned that their yard is being taken over by this so-called green moss. Two people that spend more time away than having a good reason to complain about something so incredibly natural. We had a huge part of our forest covered with the moss a few years back, at least until I laid down a blanket of wood chips because my goal was to revitalize the soil. Now that I'm not doing it this season, I'm hoping that the moss returns. It's always been my goal to give this lay of land back to Mother Earth. Give it to the forest in the way that it really is and not what we plant. We aren't going to have the most perfect lawn, and the reason why is because we're at the bottom of Heartbreak Hill, which gives us way too much runoff. So we've allowed the efforts of Mother Earth to speak freely in ways that enhance the next story, and not what we assume. Hey, it's Arrow. This is The Daily Mess, a chronological walk through an everyday world. I am a daily writer. I'm the silent wolf. I sit on the sidelines, and I just watch. I observe. I listen. I study. There's so much going on in our everyday world that we're missing it. This is The Daily Mess. Strange dreams. Oh, I have some strange dreams. They feel so real. Yet when you wake up, there ain't no way that thing could even play out like that. But while in this particular dream, the texture of the floor was felt by my feet. That caught me totally off guard, which might have led me to realizing something doesn't feel right. You need to wake up, dude. I'm always blown away by how much conversation is always unfolding while you're sleeping. Where do these words even come from? I've read that images are the people, places, and things that we've picked up along the way. But what about the voices that we hear inside our dreams? Guess what? It's called the stored valuation of an accessed auditory memory. Have you ever heard of that before? The stored valuation of an accessed auditory memory. The voices that we hear while dreaming are a perception conjured by the brain. Do we do the same thing when we're awake? Our imaginations make up stories during daylight hours in the way of selling them to the circles that we stand in. The perception gaining access to our auditory memory. You know, as a daily writer, doesn't that fall under the same description? I mean, after all, when I write, I hear voices as well. This is strange, because can we control what is being said inside a dream? Or would you even be in a dream anymore if you were controlling the questions, the answers, the explorations, the stored valuation of an accessed auditory memory? I like this because it helps me understand, what am I reading before I go to bed? What am I watching on TV before I go to bed? What is going on before I go to bed? And is that what's feeding this so-called storing up of an accessed auditory memory? If you could control what is being shared inside a dream, would you be able to handle the truth when you wake up? Would it even be a truth? Or would you make it up, just like we do our past? We live it, then we rewrite the story. Do we do the same thing with our dreams? I'm Arrow, and that's The Daily Mess.